What is poppin'? It is a Slapton. I am but a lowly Slapton riding these DeFi waves, and this is a video that I am very excited to share with you because it is about a protocol that I am becoming increasingly passionate about as I learn about it. And one of my favorite things to do is to share really cool things, especially in Web3, with you all. And so why this is so exciting to me is because it combines things that I think are going to be some of the most promising investment domains or vehicles in the near, medium, and long-term future, and it combines two of my passions, and that would be real estate and Web3. So full disclosure, I am a real estate investor. I have been investing in Tradfi real estate for the better part of a decade, buying holds, buying flips, and pretty much everything except for like building properties I've done. And it can be quite lucrative. It can be very profitable. And Web3, if you're watching this, you probably have a little beat on Web3. Web3, of course, we're talking about leveraging blockchain technology, the most innovative, the most explosive, the most powerful new technology, I believe, that will revolutionize the entire world. The potential growth in Web3 is unlimited, and here's the best part. The growth in real estate, if you've been following it over the years, has been one of the best vehicles to make massive wealth. I would say that more millionaires have been made in real estate than any domain in the history of the world, bar none. So the richest people in the world invest in real estate. But one of the problems with real estate is that it costs a lot of money to get into. It costs money to buy, it costs money to renovate, it costs money to manage, and it takes knowledge and skills and wherewithal and connections because if you're going to get into it and let's say you're going to manage some properties, do you have the skills to do everything? Are you a plumber, electrician, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, carpenter? Do you know people who will? Do you know reliable people who will? So it's a problem where a lot of people know real estate is a good place to make money, but they don't have the funds or the knowledge or the connections, and they never do it. And that's been very unfortunate because it's seriously the case of the rich being able to get into a domain and get richer, and the non-rich kind of being left out. Story of history, right? So along comes Web3, and the idea of Web3 is to democratize domains, make it so everybody can have access to things that only rich people had. And that is exactly what Swix DAO aims to do. It aims to give people, your average person, investments, exposure to real estate, and not just real estate, but luxury real estate. Something that, even in my 10 years of personal real estate experience, I have not attained and probably never will because you're talking about playing with a ton of money. So here's how it works. We're going to start with this idea of a lease agreement. So if you know how a lease works for a car, let's say, it would be that you're going to pay a monthly payment, a monthly note to have temporary ownership of a car. Now, when the lease expires after whatever your lease duration is, let's say 5 years, you give the car back, typically speaking, right? That's usually your typical lease deal. You can do the same thing with property. You can lease a piece of property for, let's say, 3 years, and you're going to pay off a note. Every month, you're going to pay some amount, and you're going to retain the rights to control that property. Now, what you can do is rent out that property, and if the rent exceeds the note that you're paying off, you're in profit. And you may ask yourself, like, why would that happen? How could you in some way pay a certain amount and then turn around and charge somebody a higher rent? Well, here's the reference point I'll give you that you guys are probably familiar with is something like Airbnb. So Airbnb takes, or people, private individuals, can purchase a piece of property, they can pay their note, but because they're getting turnover, these are short-term to medium-term rentals, short-term rentals typically, that demand is higher, and they're able to charge a premium for the short-term nature of the stay. Because at this point, I don't think people, especially if you're talking about luxury, want to stay in a corporate hotel. They want to stay in a unique, immersive experience in a building that should be lived in as a local would. And so, Airbnb is a big business, and I will extol the virtues of that system. I think it's a wonderful system, but in my humble opinion, Web3 can do it better because you don't have to be the one that's putting the money down to purchase that property. You can let the DAO do that. So what the DAO can do is pull together resources through bootstrapping efforts. You've seen this before with LBPs, liquidity bootstrap pools. You've seen it with IDOs. You can raise capital collectively. Then you can go out and purchase luxury property. Now we call this Class A. In this case, it's going to be Class A plus plus, little business terms here, little inside business terms for you guys. So real estate goes from class A to class D, A being the greatest. Now these are going to be luxury apartments, things that'll be far exceed the grasp of most people in their lifetimes. But if we pool our resources together, this is going to be managed by experts and the community to some degree through governance votes. You can leverage the fact that in Web3, you can own a piece of these lease agreements. And here's how that works. You take a lease agreement, you tokenize it, you move it onto a blockchain. The same way that you could tokenize, let's say, a carbon credit. You can tokenize essentially anything if you have the proper architecture, the blockchain architecture and wherewithal, which means we can get a virtual representation, one of one, guarantees ownership, transparent, on a blockchain. And we know that that property lease agreement will exist on a blockchain and we can move it into a treasury. And so now the treasury can be lined with these lease agreements that represent real estate in the real world. Now, you have to pay off the note, but keep in mind the idea of charging more rent to get a profit. So here's the deal. We get this physical lease agreement. We charge a rent, we get revenue. Now, some of that revenue is going to go to pay off this cost. Now, that's things like the notes. It's things like make ready. So as somebody moves out and somebody moves in, you need to pay a property manager or some service to make sure that those properties are ready for the next person. There are other costs, but those are just two really quick examples that are easy to grasp. Now, what's ever left over will be a profit. We can call that a premium. And it can go back into the treasury, meaning that we have a real way to pump the treasury with real world assets. This is absolutely mind-bending to me and solves one of the fundamental problems of DeFi as far as I'm concerned, is where is the value actually coming from? Well, there's a clear answer here. The value is actually coming from real-world assets. They're coming from rent, and there's something else it could be coming from, and that's appreciation. What appreciation means is that if you purchase a property at one time and the demand for it increases, you're going to see appreciation. Now, the trends for luxury property at this point is that they are appreciating quite rapidly. One of my favorite sayings about real estate is no one's making any more of it. And real estate, of course, I'm talking about the land. There's only so much of it. And there's certainly desirable places. And it's not something that you can just conjure up, right? There's only so much real estate you can build on. There's only so many premier cities in the world that people want to spend top dollar to be in. And so that's another way that the treasury can take in assets, is just by holding and watching appreciation happen. There is so much to talk about this protocol. I just wanted to give you a really high-level overview. I can get more into tokenomics. I can get into things like how they're going to do bonding, and I intend to do that. There's even a regenerative finance aspect of this that I think is absolutely fascinating, that I think many of you will be interested in. But the long and short of it is this. If you ever wanted to be a real estate investor, you ever wanted to be playing with the big boys, the big dogs, in a game that takes a lot of money, you can do it now with Swix DAO. I will keep you abreast of things going on with Swix DAO. Hop in the Discord. I will leave a link to the Discord in the description of this video. Come say hi. I'm hanging out a lot there, making friends, making connections. I would love to see you guys there. I will catch you all in the next one. And above all else, remember to ape responsibly, will you? I'll catch you guys in the next ones. Peace, dudes and dudettes.